Om Shri Sai Ram. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. For today's talk, we have Brother Shyam Sundar Kumar. He was a Balvika student and subsequently joined Swami's College in 1995. He spent the first 3 years in Brindavan campus for BSc Mathematics and then 4 years in Parthi for MSc and MTech. Swami had blessed him with an opportunity to be in the Mandir Vedam group, University Band, and Mandir Bhajan group during his stay. He is a Balvika's guru, currently serving as the Tamil Nadu State Vedam coordinator. He is working as an architect in HCL Technologies, Chennai. Let's enjoy this session. Jai Sairam.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Am I audible?
Yes, Sairam. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. हृदाकाशे सदा भान्तं शान्तमानन्दरूपिणं ज्ञानभानुमहं वन्दे सद्गुरुं सत्यसायिनं. Humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan, and Sai Ram to everyone who has assembled on this virtual satsang. Today we have been thinking so much about the pandemic time, that this pandemic, yes, it is causing a lot of havoc, there is a lot of loss that is happening, but at the same time this has given us a lot of opportunity to connect with so many devotees around the globe, whether it is for any spiritual activity like chanting Vedam or chanting some mantras or being in bhajans or thinking about Bhagwan or reminiscing about the glorious days that the avatar walked on this earth. This has been a great opportunity in the last 1 year. If you look at the current time, yes, it is a very difficult time, but it is one of the best times that we are blessed to be in. The reason is that we know, especially for people from Maharashtra, we know that there have been a lot of devotees, especially between if you look at the time period before Shirdi Baba's avatar, from the 13th century, 14th century until even even the late 18th century, we have had lot of devotees, be it Eknath, be it Sant Tukaram, or any of those devotees whom we see in the Mahabhakta Vijayam list, and also a lot of devotees from Bengal like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. They all had so much of yearning for God. Now we know that. In fact, Swami had spoken about Meera's devotion, that how she was crying so much to see her Lord Krishna. And same thing about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to be pining so much to see his mother Kali. He said, at one point in time, he even took a sickle. He took a big sword that was hanging in the house, and he was about to cut himself, telling that this body has been pining to see Ma, but she has not given me opportunity. This being the case, in fact, all of us have been born after Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's times. And there have been lot more devotees before even all of the saints that I have mentioned. The opportunity that none of them had, Bhagwan had bestowed on all of us. When one great saint was speaking about Bhagwan, when she was asked, who is Bhagwan? She said, such an avatar was never there in the past so many thousands of years and will not be there in so many thousands of years. Bhagwan himself had told so many times that the Krishna avatar and the Rama avatar keep happening again and again. We know that Krita Yuga, we have the Satya Yuga, we have the Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. This keeps occurring again and again, and there have been so many avatars of Sri Rama again and again coming, and so many avatars of Krishna coming again and again. But Swami said, the Trayi avatar of Sai, the Shirdi Sai, Satya Sai and Prema Sai, is something that has happened, that is happening only once in the entire eon. So Swami has said this is one of the greatest, rarest avatars. And if you look at the Swami's avatar's perspective, he had spent a lot of time with us. Now, if you take Rama Avatar, Sri Rama was there in the in his Gurukulam or in the palace for quite some time, and then for a period of 14 years he was in exile. And in fact, in one of the versions of Ramayana, we find that Sri Rama's avatar's purpose was primarily to be with the saints and the sages. So the 14 years that he spent only with saints and sages in the forest. If you take Krishna Avatar, yes, the Pandavas literally made him. If you look at Draupadi made him a textile mill. If you look at Arjuna made him his own chauffeur. So like this, we had them. There were a very few set of devotees. Even during Shirdi Baba's times, we know very few devotees. People in Swami's times, it has been enormous, and he has spent a lot of time with us. In fact, right from Bhagavan's declaration, the Avatarhood declaration, subsequently, in fact, there was one point in time when the Pathamandiram was there. It is recorded in one of the books, where during the Pathamandiram days, Swami used to stay awake till late 11:30, 12 o'clock. He used to tell, when Sakamma Garu or Karnam Subbamma Garu or Ishwaramma used to tell him, please Swami, you go and retire. In fact, those days, hardly handful of people. In a week, maybe 10 people or 20 people would have visited him. But he used to spend all the time with the devotees. Whether it was being in Chitravati or being in Mandir, being surrounded by the devotees. And subsequently, if you look at the 85 years of this physical presence on earth, the number of lives individually he has touched has been like enormous. And we have lot of memories recorded of him. Whether it is on video, audio, photographs, and much more than that, people like us who are part of the organization. None of the avatars, including Shirdi Baba, created an organization in his name during his times in his own, with his own hands, and he gave his own name. So even if you look at Shirdi Sai Sansthan, it is not an organization where all the people across the globe do the work. But here Swami has given us such a wonderful organization. Does it mean that we are far more devoted than all those bhaktas of Pandharpur or Alvars and Nayanmas or Meerabhai or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa? It is surely just his love. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna declares, Deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. Even the devas are eager to see this form. In fact, this happened, I am going to tell an incident which happened to my classmates. So as sister was introducing me, I had joined for my undergraduation in Vrindavan. Few of my classmates were studying right from their first standard, and probably few of them joined later in their 11th class or something. But there were a lot of my classmates who were there during my 11th and 12th. They were doing their 11th and 12th at Prashant Nilayam. So just before the examinations, 12th standard examinations, the boys get an opportunity. Swami blesses each of them, gives them, blesses their pens with vibhuti or whatever, and hands over personally the hall ticket to them. So during this period, the boys were so happy, and what they decided was, they thought, we have to offer something to Bhagavan. What was that they can offer to Bhagavan? Bhagavan doesn't need anything, literally. So they were thinking a lot about it, and suddenly one of the boys, he said, during the winter vacation that year, so this, what I am talking about is happening in February, probably, it was in 1995, February 1995 this was happening. And in late October, during the winter vacation of 1994, what had happened was, few of the boys, because it's a 2 weeks of vacation during winter, many of them do not go to their hometowns. They stay back in Prashant Nilayam and be with Bhagavan. So during that time, Swami invariably blesses them with a robe that he wears, and Swami had given a few of them his own robes, as a gift of love. So what those boys thought was, okay, now that we have a sample, we have a lot of samples in the class, probably of a class of 110 people, probably there were at least 10-15 people who had got the robes from Bhagwan. So what they decided was, we will get a robe stitched for Swami and offer it to him. So they all planned it very well. They had the because they have the robe, they know the material with which in which that robe is there. That is another lesson. Swami looks so grand, so beautiful in that dress. We think that it is a very costly piece of cloth that he is wearing, but those of you who have been in close quarters, whether it was during Pada Namaskar or during any other opportunity that we have had, we know that the quality of the cloth that he is wearing is very simple, very, very simple. And that would have costed them very, very little. And one of the boys had his own parent as a tailor. So that uncle or auntie was so happy to have Swami's robe stitched, because they have a model available now. So my classmates, they all packed the robe once the robe was ready, very beautifully, and in turns from the hostel, there used to be food cooked for Bhagwan. It used to go to him in Mandir. So it was a particular day that in the morning from the hostel, food was going. At that point in time, there was no separate higher secondary school hostel and college hostel. They were all together. So it went to Swami. And it was around 10:30 or 11 that this happened. And these boys were very happy. They had all written letters to Bhagwan. And that evening at around 3 o'clock, even before they had finished their classes, usually the classes get over at around 2:45 or 3 or sometimes 3:30. And after that they have the tea and then go to Mandir. But as they were in the class, they got a call, the principal got a call that Swami is waiting for the 12th class boys in the Mandir. Rush immediately to the Mandir. So all of them literally ran to Mandir, leaving the books in the classrooms, thinking Swami must be very happy that he has received our robes. And Swami was there waiting for them in the veranda, and he was letting them go one by one inside the interview room. And at the end, if you look at the class, I think it was not more than 100 boys. It was quite a huge number, but it was not above 100 though. So all those boys were getting seated. Few of them were standing near the door, because there was not sufficient place. And they saw that the robe, that was packed in a beautiful parcel, the gift wrap, that was there on Swami's teapot, that was next to his chair. And it was opened. Swami looked at that even before sitting on the throne, and he asked, "What is that?" So all the boys, they said, they saw Swami's face frowning, so they didn't want to say anything. Then Swami said, "Can't you understand this much? Am I asking you for this? I am asking you just for your love. And I am asking you to just live the lessons that you have learned in my lotus feet when you go out." Even in many occasions Swami has told, you don't need to go outside and tell you are a Satya Sai Baba devotee. In your workplace, you don't need to keep a big picture of Bhagwan and say, I'm a Sai Baba devotee, and literally trumpeting around. So Swami said, you don't need to do all that. You just need to lead a very good life, following the values that you have learned here. And at that point in time, your bosses or people around you will realize, okay, there is a difference in this person from others. How is he different? Why is he different? And then when they inquire, they will get to know that you are from such and such university or school, and you get a good name for the school and the institution you have studied. That is sufficient for me. Such a loving Bhagwan. And then Swami said, how much did you spend? None of them opened their mouths, because they had pre-planned in case Swami asked, we should not be telling. And Swami went inside and got 100 rupee notes, and then he went to each of them and handed over the money. Now, the cloth that Bhagwan wears, as I mentioned, is a very, very simple material. It is not costly. And the stitching charges were in there absolutely, because it was some devotee who had stitched the robe for Bhagwan. So imagine all those boys, how much they would have spent. Hardly, maybe 5 rupees or 10 rupees at most. Swami gave them the money. And then as they were, as Swami was speaking to them, Swami pointed at the door, a wall that was there. So those of you who have been in the interview room would know, you enter the interview room, so Mandir is there, you are entering the interview room, and in this corner you have Bhagwan's throne, and there is the wall near the door, and some boys are standing. They realized that the wall, there is a seepage on the wall, so they thought water must be leaking. But literally there is no, that place is not having any bathroom on top or anything. It is it is supposed to be a dry place. Swami said that wall is crying, that it is not able to experience the darshan, sparshan and sambhashan that I am giving you. So many gods are waiting for my darshan. Deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. They are all eager for this avatar, to have this proximity with the Bhagwan. You have got that opportunity. Do not take it otherwise. Such a loving Bhagwan. So he was explaining, it is such a rarity that we have got him. Of course, he blessed them, lovingly chided them, telling that it is not what he expected. And then Swami used to say to us that no, you don't need to give it back to me. Whatever I have given you, give it forward to others. So whatever I have done to you, do it for others. So such a loving mother that we have got. We read about so many conquerors who had come to India, whether it was the Mughals or much before, or the Portuguese or the Britishers. We say the famous statement is, they came, they saw, they conquered. Here in most of our lives, he came, we saw, and he conquered. When I say he came, it doesn't mean that he wasn't there before we knew him. He has been constantly with us. Bhagwan used to say, for the Balvika students who have been in Balvikas or who are Balvikas gurus, you will know, constant awareness of divinity is something that we would like to inculcate in the students. So Swami has been there with us. Shri Krishna had told, when Bhagwan was Shri Krishna, he told Arjuna, I know you from so many births before. It is not that I know you as Arjuna. So Swami knows us from so much before even the avatar has come in. So and then we saw him and he conquered us. And such a Bhagwan. So Swami used to talk about this Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum. This is the season of mangoes. I think in Maharashtra it is called Apus. I had been to Mumbai and I hear Apus, people selling on the road. So Swami used to tell during the summer, especially during summer courses, he says, Jnatum, first you need to know. So once you get to know, Drashtum. So Swami gives a beautiful analogy of this mango. Somebody tells you, do you know this season's mango has come in market? Of course, now market is online. We can't go outside so much, but still, so they say it has come to the market. So you get to know. Somebody tells us that so and so is an avatar, Bhagavan is an avatar, or even just a sannyasi, or whichever way he got introduced to us, and because of our reverence we went to him, and then we saw. So that's where Swami says Drashtum. You go to the market, even before you reach the market, the smell of the mangoes is going to invite you. Then Swami says, you see the mango, and then later Praveshtum. Even until then, it is just a mango that is sitting separately from you. You are not having the experience. The moment you purchase it, you have it. You taste it. Only then you will experience. So he conquered us. He is in our lives, no matter where we go. So it was in my final year, Bhagavan had come to the hostel, and it was 1 month before we left the portals of the institution. Swami came and announced. He said, to whichever place you go, whichever village you go and work, I will be there with you, in you, above you, around you. And then he said, just like wherever you go, the shadow follows you. And when Anil Kumar sir was translating as the shadow, Swami said, no, not even shadow. I will be the one that is in you and I will keep guiding you. True to his words, as his name says, Satya, Satyanarayana Raju, Satya Sai, Swami has been there as a guiding and guarding principle in my life throughout. And Swami says, it is only through Ananya Bhakti that he can be reached. In that Bhagavad Gita shloka where he speaks about Jnatum, Drashtum and Praveshtum, he says, Bhaktya Tvananyaya Shakya Ahamevam Vidhorjuna Jnatum Drashtuncha Tatvena Praveshtuncha Parantapa. He says, it is only through one-pointed devotion, unwavering devotion. It's not that I jump here, I go there, I jump here, I go there. That's where Swami says, have heart-to-heart connection with me. Never have a connection through somebody. So it should always be a heart-to-heart connection. And we have seen him here. We have felt him here. So only through that I can be attained as Bhagavan, what he has told us. And as I told you, Swami was in our lives, has been in our life even before we knew. But my first experience of Bhagavan, or first, maybe the word acquaintance is wrong, but my first acquaintance with Bhagavan was a small photograph of Bhagavan where he was wearing a shawl and a lot of garlands around him, and my grandmother got it to our house, and I was surprised who was he. And Swami, my grandmother explained to us that it was Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba. And despite certain miraculous incidents happening where her health was cured automatically, and there was a presence of Bhagwan's photograph and vibhuti, suddenly a packet of vibhuti falling on her and all that. Despite that, none of us in the family other than her, we realized the value of Bhagwan. So due to which the initial few years were, I would say, wasted, because only after realizing Bhagwan in our lives, it is really fructified. So it was probably when I was 7 years old or maybe 10 years old, Bhagwan, I had Bhagwan's darshan in Sundaram when Swami had come to Sundaram, and after that it was a long pause. So we had moved to a new house, and in that area we were doing bhajans, whatever we knew. Somebody called us and said, do you know Satya Sai Baba? And we started doing bhajans. It was completely unorganized. There was no organization. So later, Bal Vikas, there was a Bal Vikas center inaugurated, and there was a Samiti inaugurated in our area, and that's where the beautiful love story that Bhagwan with Bhagwan had started. During Bal Vikas days, I am so grateful to my Bal Vikas Guru. He had taught us so many things, and he strengthened our faith in Bhagwan so much. In fact, during one of the days, we had a devotee visiting our Samiti. So this must have been my 8th class or 9th class. That devotee had visited the Samiti, and he was speaking so very well. And he said, Swami is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent and all that. And then he said, at any point in time in your life, if you have a doubt, if you ever doubt, Swami says, you need not accept me without testing. But what we do as devotees is, every time we accept him, we are so enthralled. For a few years it goes on, and whenever there is a problem, you are into grief, at that point in time we forget him and we move away. And or when we are elated, mostly it is the other way around. So when we are so happy with our life, comfortable with our life, we forget him. And at that point in time, again he comes and reminds you. And then this uncle who had come to our Samiti, he said, if you have a doubt at any point in time, just pray to him. He will be definitely there, and he will show his presence. And that presence that he showed on that particular day, I'll explain to you that even till date, if I just want to feel him at any place, he appears. And I'm sure this is the experience of every devotee. So what had happened was, he had told that, and as part of Bal Vikas, my Bal Vikas Guru had given me this duty of taking care of the sales of Sai literature and Vibhuti cassettes. And those days Sundaram cassettes were so famous. So we used to get it from one place, Samiti was not in a separate building, it was in a devotee's house, and after everything is over we would pack it, and it was my responsibility to give it back in another uncle's house and come back. So that day what happened, it was I think that was my 11th or 12th class, yeah, it was my 11th grade. So I used to be studying with one of my classmates. We used to do group studies. We used to go to the tuitions together and group studies, because he said otherwise it is difficult to focus, why don't we do group studies. So that's how I used to do. So because of Samiti bhajans, I leave the sales material in one uncle's house, came home, had my food, and I took my bicycle to go to my friend's place. I used to study whole night, and in the morning used to go for Nagar Sankirtan. So this used to be my schedule. So I used to stay in his house overnight studying. So probably 12:30 or 1 at that time we'd sleep and wake up for Nagar Sankirtan, come back from Nagar Sankirtan, sleep for an hour, and then go for classes. So this used to be my schedule. So what had happened was, as I was leaving, my grandmother told me, you are going through a very dark place, and probably it was a Amavasya or something, and she said, no, be careful. I said, what? Be careful? That uncle, today only he told in Samiti that Swami is always there with you. Swami is there with me. Grandmother, she said, okay, if you realize that, it is okay. And then as I was going, now the place where I live is really densely populated, and at that point in time, my house to his house, there was a region where I had to cross some fields. It was a little bit of empty land, not fields, empty land, yet no house built on that. So as I was going through that, in middle, I suddenly got a thought, Swami, are you there? It was at that moment, on the very same day that I heard you ask him. That is what Bal Vikas does to us. Bal Vikas makes us understand and accept whatever our gurus say and whatever Swami says. I think that's the first and foremost quality that Bal Vikas does to us. So I stood there, and then I thought, okay, will Swami show his presence? And at that moment, there was such a wonderful aroma of Vibhuti. We know Prashanti Mandir Vibhuti, and we also know because I was in sales, I knew about the Shivaranjani Agarbatti we used to buy from Parthi for the devotees. And I am used to washing my hands properly, because I used to have that if I have with some other smell, if I have my food, that will trouble me. So I used to wash my hands and then go for my dinner. So there was absolutely no possibility of any agarbatti smell on me or vibhuti smell on me. And at that moment there was so much, and I stood there for a few seconds and I thanked Bhagwan, and I moved from there, and that's it. And that whole night I could not study. I was just in contemplation of that experience. So Bhagwan was there definitely in our lives from the beginning. And this happened in my 11th grade. Before that, probably in my 9th or 10th grade, one of my Bal Vikas classmates, I used to do a group study with him during 9th and 10th classes. So the best thing was we used to study, and in their house we had a very big picture of Bhagwan, and we used to just sleep under that picture of Bhagwan. And in the morning our Bal Vikas Guru would come and wake us up, and Bal Vikas Guru and the convener, one more person, one of them would come and wake us up and take us to Nagar Sankirtan. They would drop me. This used to be the schedule. So at that, what used to happen is, every morning when I woke up, either uncle, auntie, or this fellow, my classmate, or his sister, or their his grandmother, one of them used to tell that Bhagwan came in their dream and told something. I was like, no, Swami, I have been sleeping in this same house, and right under your photograph, all of them are sleeping in some bedroom or somewhere. I am sleeping right under your photograph, and I am not getting a dream. I felt so bad on a particular day, and after studies we went to sleep. And that night I had a wonderful dream. That dream is still very, very clear in my mind. So the scenario was, I am in whites, and I am playing in a ground, and the ground is situated in such a way that there is an upper ground and a lower ground. So I am playing in the lower ground. There is a row of trees in between, And suddenly somebody comes running and says, from the upper ground, he's coming and running and says, Swami is calling you. In dream, I was wondering what Swami is calling me. And at that point in time, we had not seen any students. I had not interacted. We didn't have anybody from our Samiti studying here. It was later that somebody went and later the next year somebody joined Bhagwan's institute. But until then, I didn't know what an interaction with Bhagwan would be. But I just was wondering in the dream that what Swami is calling me, and I rush along with that other person who called me. As I reached the place, I saw a beautiful peepal tree, and under the peepal tree there is a shed, asbestos shed, on which Aim High, Soar High, Baba is written in blue color. And my Bal Vikas Guru had taught me a lot of sayings of Bhagwan, but this one was very new to me. Aim High, Soar High, Baba was very new to me. And Swami was standing there. And he called me near and gave me a tight slap. That's it. I heard bicycle bell ringing outside. So it was early in the morning, and I was woken up for Nagar Sankirtan. So my dream went off that way, and this was probably in 1993 or 1992. And next year in 1993, one of our seniors in Samiti, senior Bal Vikas students in Samiti, he had got an admission in Brindavan College, and he joined Brindavan. And that year, the year he joined Brindavan, we went to Brindavan for Padanamaskar, because Tamil Nadu used to get the opportunity to do seva in the month of April and May. And for Padanamaskar, we used to go to Brindavan because Swami used to be there. So I had been to Brindavan probably 92, this was the second time to Brindavan. And we were in the Sai Ramesh Hall. At 93, Swami had inaugurated, it was not even Sai Ramesh Hall. It was much later that, I think it was that year that Sai Ramesh Hall had come up. So we were seated there. This boy who had joined was explaining to us what was the college and all that. It was very nice. And after that, I had been to Brindavan once more. And 1995 came. That was when Swami gave me the opportunity to join his institution. And we had a summer course, beautiful summer course on Bhagavatam, 1995 summer course. We enjoyed that, and every day we used to go to the college for morning sessions. Evening sessions used to be in Sai Ramesh Hall, and it was very nice. And this was June 2nd. June 2nd was the day. June 1st the college reopens. Before that we had summer course, and June 2nd was the first day for games and sports. So it was in the morning that we went to the ground. It was at 6 o'clock after the morning Suprabhatam prayers. We went to ground. So I go to the ground, and there our teacher, health teacher, PT master, he was standing there, and he was introducing the first year students to the seniors. And at that point in time, I am noticing that it is the same peepal tree that I saw 2 years back in my dream. It is the same shed with Aim High, Soar High, Baba written. The only difference was Bhagwan was not standing there. Thankfully, I didn't get the thappad from him. So, Swami had shown this place earlier. Now, in fact, I had been to Brindavan College through that ground only all these days. All the 10 days of summer course, we used to walk there. But he probably wanted me to understand that I should be in the games attire to be to realize that particular thing. So this was how Swami showed that I would be joining Brindavan with and I didn't know about it until I joined. And after I got into the college, Swami was there in Brindavan probably until 9th of June, and after that he went to Parthi. So we in those 7 or 8 days we had a lot of interactions with Bhagwan, and especially being the first year students, we got the opportunity to sit in the first few rows. In fact, Swami had spoken to me also. He asked me, he called one of our seniors, Brother Rajgopal, and then he made him speak that day. And before he spoke, Swami told him he speaks like Manika Vachagar. He said he speaks like Manika Vachagar, and he told him to give a speech in Tamil. And then he asked me, I was sitting in the second row, Tamil teriyuma? He asked in Tamil, do you know Tamil? I told him, yes, Swami, and then listened to him. That's what Swami said. So very little interaction happened. Subsequently, we all Swami had left to Parthi, and what had happened was, I told you that my schedule used to be studying late night. So after dinner, I used to study with my friends, and until probably 11 or 12. And I used to wake up in the morning. That is a different story altogether. But in the college, in the hostel, the 8 to 9:30 time period is the study hours time, and all of us have to go to bed by 10 p.m. So that is a strict thing, especially in Vrindavan. So it was very difficult for me to cope up with the studies. I was from a higher secondary background from the Tamil Nadu syllabus, but that was a bit tough. The course I had joined, BSc, was a bit tough for me. So after Guru Purnima, we had come back from Parthi. We had been to Guru Purnima for Parthi. We had come back from Parthi, and during the mid-semester exams, I had done very badly. So of the various papers that we had, in one paper I just scraped past the passing mark. Never in my life I had got such low marks. I felt very bad about it, and in fact the warden used to address us, the entire class. He used to address us after the marks were given, and he was literally telling us, is this the reason why your parents sent you all to study in Swami's institution? You are getting a bad name. I felt so bad that evening I went to the college. After the classes were over, I went to the college. I think it was a weekend. Yeah, it was a weekend. And I took an inland letter card and went to the a place where nobody was there. I cried my heart and wrote a letter to Bhagwan. Literally, as I was writing, I was using an ink pen. As I was writing, my tears were falling on it and were erasing it. I would dry it up and again write. So this was, what I wrote to Swami was, Swami, I do not want to let you down or let my parents down. Please, Swami, bless me that I should study well. And that, this happened on the weekend or maybe on a Sunday. And next day, one of our teachers who had just joined teaching, so he had finished his MTech that year and he had joined teaching. So he was speaking to us, and because the exams were over and the papers were distributed, he thought little bit of time we can spend on discussing about Swami. So he was telling how if you offer everything that you do to Swami, Swami will take care that the results will be the best results. So that day onwards, I started practicing. Even if I sip water, I used to say Swami Sai Ishwararpanam, and then used to drink. So this is how I started my day. So every night before the study hours, I would pray to him, pray to Swami, and then start my studies. So this happened, and that year, because it was 70th birthday, we finished our exams and went to Parthi immediately. And after 70th birthday was over, on 24th of November, we had our vacations. And when we came back, our results were ready. So we had returned back to Vrindavan. We started from Parthi for vacations and joined in Vrindavan after vacations. So it was the probably third or fourth day after the classes had started. The results had come. In the evening, they had because Swami would bless the results in the mandir in the morning, and that would come to us. Those days email was not there, so it would come to us by the 1 o'clock bus, and they would display it on the board. So after the classes, we had come back to the hostel. So I rushed to the college. On the way, I see the warden, and he was with one of our seniors, and he looked at me, and that brother unfortunately had not gotten O grade. So he pointed at me and said to that brother, "This fellow also got O grade, Ra." I was surprised. Probably sir has not seen the result properly, because that's impossible. No, I had just passed, passed in one of the subjects, and in none of the subjects in mid-semester, probably except for one paper, in none of the subjects I got O grade, which is the outstanding grade, and it's impossible to get an O grade. I go there and see, in my class in BSc, in my batch, we were 20 of us in Vrindavan. Of that, only 3 of us had got O grade and I had the third mark. 2 of us were sharing the third mark. So that, Swami, if we offer ourselves to Swami, he would definitely take care. In fact, in Swami's letter to his brother in 1947, that is a very, very historic letter. So at any point in time, we want to see what is Satya Sai Avatar all about. If we take that letter and go through that, it gives us a lot of solace as well. So he says, Sanmargamanu Vidi Dunmarga, that is, if people are going away from the good path, I will hold them back and pull them back. And not only that, he says, the next one he says, Ghanatanaku, that is, I have something to be proud of. What is that? Whoever adores me and worships me, I will never forsake them, I will take care of them. So this was Bhagwan. I cried to him, and immediately that year's response was, I was one among the bottom 3, I was one among the top 3. And I know it was just because of the offering that I was giving to Bhagwan every day, and it was absolutely his love. And as part of being in Vrindavan, there were a lot of opportunities that I have had, whether it was chanting Vedam or whether it was in the Trai sessions. I remember in one of the Trai sessions, before that I would like to tell something. So about the marks that I got. So I got a 4.54 out of 5. So which is a O grade. Above 4.5 is O grade. So what had happened was much later in 2000 or 2001, there was one incident that happened in Mandir. So that made me realize that who is the one who gives the marks. So it was the 12th class board exams were about to be there, and all the boys, they had taken their pens to Bhagwan, and hall tickets were there. Swami created Vibhuti, put on the pens, and then in fact Swami has this interesting thing. Swami used to distribute a special kind of biscuit for all the 10th class and 12th class boys. He would say, eat this biscuit and go, you will remember whatever you studied. Very funny. So he is there to give us everything, and he was giving credit to the biscuits. So after that, every day Swami used to come and inquire how the exams went on. On a particular day, it was a Sanskrit exam, and it was very, very tough. It was very bad for all the boys who had taken Sanskrit. And Swami had looked at them, and Swami first asked the principal, how was the exam? Principal sir said, Swami, it was good. And then Swami looked at the boys and then asked, how was the exam? The boys didn't know what to say. They looked at the principal sir. So immediately Swami said, hey, why are you looking at the principal? I am the one who is going to give you the marks. Whether it is board exam or exam in life, he is the one who is going to give us the marks. So we should always remember that. Okay, coming back to Vrindavan days, there were so many interesting incidents that happened in Vrindavan. In Trai sessions, you would have heard a lot about Trai sessions thanks to Radio Sai. Brothers Prem and Arvind, they have spoken about Trai session so many times. Trai session is a wonderful thing where the entire evening we would spend with Bhagwan. Swami would be on the Jula, and absolutely, even this date, you close your eyes and think about it, it brings tears of joy. And during one of the Trai sessions, in most of the Trai sessions, Swami would ask some VIP or teacher or a student to speak. And then Swami would also speak on very interesting topics. Swami had spoken about cloning. Swami had, the day the Dolly sheep was cloned in 95, 96, I don't remember the year, but I was in Vrindavan. Swami was speaking about it, how bad it is and it is not good. And Swami said, even your biology teachers will not understand. I'll explain how they do cloning. He was speaking about DNA, RNA and all that stuff. And for our ex-Vice Chancellor, Professor Sampath was there. He was he was a space technology man. On a particular day, he was so happy. He said, Swami, today at 3 p.m. There was another set of satellites that were launched from Sriharikota, and Swami was speaking in Tamil to him. He was speaking in English, and Swami was speaking in Tamil to him. And then he was using literally translations for the word satellite, which even I didn't know, no, I would not use much during those days. So Swami was telling, I know everything. So that's what literally was there. So during one of the sessions, Shri G.V. Subbarao Garu, we know him. His father was the seer of Sai Gayatri. So he was speaking. And he was speaking about holding Bhagwan's feet. So he said that opportunity doesn't come so often, but when it comes, grab it. And you know what happens in Trai Vrindavan? If Swami is watching, everybody would be listening to Swami. All eyes would be on Swami, all ears would be on Swami. If someone else is talking, all eyes would be on Swami and not on that person. So this also Swami, in my first year, in those first 8 days, when he was in Vrindavan in 95, the first 8 days, Swami told me that, through an incident. So what happened was, somebody was speaking on the other day, that brother Rajagopal that I mentioned about, Swami had spoken to me about me knowing Tamil. So someone else was speaking, and I was looking at Swami, and I was not, my eyes were on Swami, but I used to be playing Kanjira and Samiti, so I was doing this. And then suddenly I realized that something was flying towards me, and Swami was having, on the Jula, Swami would, the devotees would keep a beautiful, they would keep jasmine flowers rolled beautifully like a ball, sometimes, or a ring sometimes. So Swami threw that to me, and until it came here, I was seeing Swami, but my mind was lost somewhere. And then it came to me, I caught hold of it. And then Swami said, don't do this, listen to him. So, Swami, we were, in fact, everybody was looking at Swami, but I was looking at Swami, but not looking at him. That was the scenario. So, that day Swami told him, listen to him. So, as always, the boys were keenly observing Swami, what he was doing, and very little was going into their ears. The person who was speaking, Subbarao Garu, after he said, at that point in time, front few rows, 2-3 rows, the boys would be trying to put their hand under Bhagwan's lotus feet, between the footstool and Swami's lotus feet, and massage Swami. So I know most of us had got a chance to massage him until the knee also. Such a, some days it will be soft, some days it will be hard. Wonderful that he has multiple aspects. So that particular day, many brothers from the behind were trying to pounce and catch hold of Swami's feet without knowing what was being said by Professor, Shri Subbarao Garu. So Swami immediately, for one of the brothers who was sitting in the third row, Swami immediately lifted his feet and then showed him. So it went on top of another boy's shoulder, and Swami showed it to him. So Swami is ready to offer himself to us completely. He is already offered himself to us, but we should be aware, constant awareness of divinity. It was in Vrindavan again that on a particular day, those few of the days, Swami used to allow ladies to be coming inside, and they would occupy the central dome, and we used to be in the Jula hall and on the steps. So on a particular day, what had happened was, Swami was mentioning that morning when Swami came, there was Swami was holding his finger like this, and most often he was holding a kerchief in his hand, or the letters that he collected from devotees, and he was collecting the letters like this. He was the index finger was like this. He used to collect it like this. What had happened was, subsequently in the evening in Vrindavan, you would have noticed the Arati would be performed by the students or the Sevadals. So one of the brothers, Brother Praveen, one of my juniors, he went up to Bhagwan, and Swami was the one who would light the camphor. So when Swami did that, he noticed that Swami had a band-aid on his finger. So his face was, boy's face became sad. We didn't know what was happening. We noticed that something was wrong. Maybe Swami chided him or something. We didn't know. And after the Aarti, Swami went inside and called us for Trai session. So because this boy had given Aarti, he had an opportunity to be in the front. So Swami sat, and after he sat, he took one of the kerchiefs that was placed on the Jula and covered his palm. And then he was seated like that. And Swami asked, Emi Samacharam. So this brother immediately said, Swami, what is wrong with your finger? Swami said, nothing wrong. See here, and he showed the left hand. So there is nothing wrong, he said. So Swami said, no, Swami, on the other finger I saw you when you lit the camphor. Then this boy said, no, then Swami said, no, nothing. Swami showed the other fingers. And then this boy pestered, and then Swami said, yes, this morning for cutting my nails, I was searching for nail cutter in my pouch. Swami, he was trying to search for nail cutter. And he says, the shaving blade that I use, it is so sharp and it cut the nail so deep. It was the Swami's finger, the band-aid was so red, it was full of Bhagwan's blood on it. And Swami said, so that is what it is. So all of us asked, Swami, is there pain? Swami said, you all are my pain. He was making fun. You all are my pain, I don't have any pain. And then we said, Swami, please cure yourself. One of the teachers asked, Swami, if we have trouble, we come and pray to you. If we are unwell, we come and pray to you. But if you are unwell, what do we do? Swami said, you should again come and pray to me only, sir. You pray to me, I will cure myself. Then we said, okay, Swami, cure yourself. He said, no, I didn't tell now. Generally, I said. That's what he said. Then after we pestered, he said, okay. And then he removed the band-aid, blew it, and then showed us the finger was normal. And the band-aid was, he threw it, and one of the brothers, my juniors, he's still holding it as a prized possession with Bhagwan's blood on it, literally. So the next day, so this happened, and we know Bhagwan is omnipotent, and this happened. The very next day, Swami had called one of the ladies to speak to us. And he gave a very good introduction about her. And then what had happened was, this lady, unfortunately, she had not realized what had happened. She said, after she got up, she offered pranams to Bhagwan. She said, you boys, Swami told you are his pain. All of you are around him. He is giving so much. Can't you give a nail cutter to him? And because of you, Swami got cut. Then Swami was very upset. He said, shut up and sit down. And then he asked for Aarti, and then he said, nobody speaks wrong about my boys. See that love that Bhagwan has. Swami says, my students are my property. When he says his students, anybody following his teachings are his students. He has told this so many times. So for Swami, we are his properties. He will go to any extent to do, to help us and guard us. In fact, it was during 70th birthday time. After 70th birthday, Swami had come early to Brindavan. I think it was Indulal Shah sir's 75th birthday or 70th birthday. I don't remember. I think 75th birthday. And Swami wanted to bless him. And also there was some marriage that happened. Some VIP's marriage happened in Brindavan. So Swami had come there. So he had come early. Usually he comes after Shivratri. This time he came before Shivratri, went back and came back. So one of the devotees who had come from the US or UK, I don't remember, Indian who had settled there, he was in a Trai session with us. And then Swami sat on the Jula and then looked at us and said, see that boy, that man, he wants to give me a helicopter. And then Swami said, I don't need a helicopter. And then that devotee got up and said, no Swami, please take it. And then Swami said, no, the fuel is very costly. For that they have to put a separate fuel, it seems, and I don't want to waste money. He said, Swami, I will give the fuel, I will bear the fuel cost forever. Then he said, no, then we have to get a pilot. And for that Swami said, so pilot also will be costly, forget it. Then he said, Swami, my son who is taking care of my business right now along with me, he is a good pilot, I will send him, he will be more than happy to be your pilot. Swami said, no. And again there was this beautiful argument between the devotee who wants to offer it and Bhagwan who is refusing it. And until a point where Bhagwan told the exact reason. He said, if there is a helicopter, if I am going to Parthi from Vrindavan, I will be flying. Yes, definitely it will save time. I will reach probably in half an hour's time. Now it is taking 1.5 hours. But what about so many devotees who are waiting on the road to have my darshan? So Swami there are so many incidents that we know of. This is one-off incident, but there are so many such incidents where Swami has taken pains for his devotees. There was a case wherein in Vrindavan, Swami came out in hot sun without footwear, and it was so hot for even the sevadals or students to walk on it. And then Swami said, no, those devotees have come for my darshan. And they came after morning darshan, and they were going to leave before evening darshan. Unfortunately, because of some delay. So I have to give them darshan, and in hot sun, Bhagavan walked amongst them and gave them darshan. And this was one aspect of Bhagavan. And there were also multiple occasions as part of the Vedam group. Swami had asked us to chant Vedam, given us a lot of opportunities. When I was in my MSc, at that point in time, on a particular day when the Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yajnam was about to begin on that day, that was the commencement day, Swami had called all the Vedam boys. We were seated inside the bhajan hall on the gent side with the dhoti and angavastram that Swami had given us. And on the ladies' side, the pandits had come along with the chief priest was with his wife and their family and everything. And those days, Vedam chanting was not part of the darshan schedule, right? Only on special occasions we would chant. Until Swami asks us, we will not start chanting. So darshan music was on. Swami came from the Purnachandra residence, and he came directly into the mandir, and then he told us, boys, you start chanting Vedam. So we started Harihi Om Ganana Antva. We started. Swami entered the bhajan hall and went to the pandits, and then he asked them, do you know who these boys are? And then they had been coming regularly to Parthi. They said, Swami, you are students, you are college students. Do you know what they are studying? And Swami called a few of us. He was asking which class, MSc, BSc, MBA, MTech, like this. He was inquiring. And then he said, see, they are all studying all this, but they have been learning Vedam. And then Swami made a statement. He said, my boys know all 4 Vedas. Just notice, Swami said, my boys know all 4 Vedas. Many of them knew Ganana Antva and Mantra Pushpam alone. One brother who was sitting at the back, he was exclaiming, are there 4 Vedas? Another boy was telling, I know that there are 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana, but I don't know them. See there, Swami, you go and offer a simple thing. The boys had learnt Vedam just to please Swami. If you see the hostel schedule, morning to night, everything is to please Bhagavan, be it studies. So I should get O grade. Why? Because I can go sit in front and tell Bhagavan that Swami, I got O grade. And we will get an opportunity to sit in front in 3 sessions. And I will excel in sports because the championship trophy will come from Bhagavan's hands. I will excel in music. Why? Because Swami is going to listen to us. So this was the thing. And the boys had learnt Vedam just to please Swami. And then Swami blessed them. Sarva Veda Parayana Punyam Labhate. You get the merit of chanting all the Vedas. So that is the beauty of Bhagavan. And I think I have just 2 more minutes. I would like to share one incident which happened as part of the band group, and then I would hand over to for closure. I hope I can take 2 additional minutes.
Definitely, Sairam, no issues.
Sairam, okay. So what had happened was, I was part of the band, and in the bhajan group also I used to play the kanjira. I am not a singer, so I used to play the kanjira. And in the band, what had happened, we used to practice late night. We used to skip our study hours and practice in the ground until even 10:30 in the corridor. And especially because we had the New Year program, we had the Christmas program, we have to practice for those, and also for the sports meet. So of course it was fun playing music also. And one particular day, it was very late, and a few primary school, you know that we have the structure like this. We have the boys hostel, you have the higher secondary school hostel, higher secondary school, then the primary school. In front of the higher secondary school gate, we have the computer center in the university, in the college. So there is a big Ganesha, you can see that. Under that we would be practicing. And a few of the teachers were, and we would be practicing in such a way that it doesn't disturb both the primary school to some extent. Of course, band you are playing, it will definitely, the sound will reach all the rooms. In fact, Swami used to make fun that Maynard Ferguson, a great jazz musician, who is literally, Swami is the one who wanted Vedam to happen. He was the instrument to, the band to happen, and he was the instrument to train the band boys initially. It was a great opportunity to learn under people like him. And he used to, after he comes, he would take his trumpet, go to the administrative building, the university building, and practice there. And it would be heard in Mandir, and Swami used to say, my trumpet has come from America. So, the music instruments, of course, will make so much sound. So what had happened was that day, the teachers of the primary school, couple of them, we know how dedicated the primary school teachers are. In fact, all the beautiful colors that we see on the sports meet day that the children are wearing, for whether it is March Past or any of their programs that they are offering, it will be mostly all of them are stitched by the teachers only, arranged by the teachers. So two of them who were staying inside Mandir, they were going late after the work, and as they were walking, they crossed the GH. They used to go from inside, from the back gate, and through the GH you have this Shirdi Baba statue between the GH and that road uphill to the museum and Sanatan Sanskriti Museum and the university building. So there, that Shirdi Baba statue, they stop and take namaskar. This was their regular practice. So as they took Bhagwan's namaskar and looked at him, both of them noticed that Shirdi Baba, if you look at him now, you can see that he is pointing towards the Chitravati road. His eyes are seeing towards the water tank on the Chitravati banks. So that is the one that is the main supply for Prashantha Nilayam. That used to be the one. Now I don't know. So he would be watching that as if guarding for all the devotees. They realized that Shirdi Baba, instead of looking this side, he was looking this side. Both of them were, they didn't talk to each other. Probably they thought they were hallucinating because of lack of sleep. So they went, and the next morning Swami goes to both of them separately. They are sitting in two different corners in darshan, and goes to them separately and says, I was listening to the band. The band was practicing in the ground. I was listening to the band. Such a wonderful Swami. And what had happened was that year Swami had blessed us to perform on New Year. Every day we used to go inside Purnachandra, the band boys and the lion dance boys. So we took this opportunity on 29th December. We told Swami, on 1st we would like to offer a small concert in the morning. Please permit us. Swami said, chala santosham cheyandi. He told, and we were practicing in full fervor. And on 31st evening, he came for the lion dance practice after the darshan in Mandir. So he came to the Purnachandra hall and then told us, Patapillalu Vacharu, the old students have come. They want to sing bhajans. There is a lot of turmoil that is happening. They want to do bhajans from the morning darshan time till evening 6 o'clock. We were like, the band boys, we were shocked. Swami, when will we sing then? And then we asked Swami as he was entering his residence. We ran behind him and then we told him, Swami, band program. He said, yes, go practice, play tomorrow. We didn't know what to do. And we all went, and the next morning we were ready, tuned up. And when Swami was walking past us during darshan, he saw us, smiled us and blessed us. We were happy. And as Swami went into the interview room, he left the letters that the devotees had given. He went into the bhajan hall, and then Om started. The bhajan started. We were so upset, and few of the boys were literally, that was one of the final opportunities to play for Bhagwan. On sports meet, you have a huge crowd and march past happening, and we are playing that much only. But here it was just focus on us. So few of them were upset, and suddenly the bhajans were going on at around 9:05. Swami sends Sai sir, who is the bhajan in charge. He comes running outside, tells, so after this bhajan that is running, next will be band program, band be ready. Immediately we got up, the instruments had lost tuning. We got up and got ready with our notes and stands and the instruments. And Swami came out and the bhajans had stopped. And then Swami came down the portico, and then before even coming to the main place where the Mahasannidhi is today, Swami signaled us to start. And we started. Swami was so happy with the entire program. After it was over, Swami came down, walked to the band leader, and then as he was going back to the residence, he told the band leader, Bangaru, do you thought I forgot about the band program? That was not the right time, Bangaru. Until 9 o'clock was not auspicious. I wanted to listen to you during the auspicious time. Swami's delays are not his denials. And as I told you, Swami has been there in my life every moment. I had trouble when I was convener of my Samiti. I had I had joined a new company, and there was a lot of pressure there, new role, and I was not able to concentrate in Samiti. So I was trying to ask Swami again and again. This was in 2006 and 2007. So I was trying to ask, 2005, late 2005 or early 2006, I had taken over as Samiti convener. December and January, the very same year, the following year. So I had to hand it over. So that was my situation. So I tried to tell Swami when we went to Parthi for alumni meet, and later when Swami came to Chennai during army Atirudra Mahayagam, I tried to tell Swami. Swami would come near me, and when I was about to open my mouth, Swami, I would like to leave the Samiti convenership, he used to say, Beto, sit down, kucho. And then I was very upset, and as Swami left Sundaram to Parthi, I came out and I cried my heart to one of our seniors from Samiti. I told him, Uncle, I have been asking Swami that I want to leave this convenership because I don't have time. He said, what is it you are praying to Swami? I said, I don't have time, please. Swami was the one who had indicated to me to take up the Samiti convenership. I had placed a chit in front of him and 2 chits, take or no. So there was a situation where the convener had to say change in Samiti, and nobody was ready to pick up. I was not even married, and it was 3 years in my job, and parents were not ready for me to take the convenership. So with all that, I went to Samiti, and then I picked up, and Swami said, take it. So that's why I wanted to tell Swami physically. So this uncle told me, why don't you change your prayer? I said, what prayer? If I change the prayer, what? In Om Shri Sai Ram, I have to tell something else or what? Then he told me, no, tell Swami, Swami, I want time to do your work. Don't tell Swami, I don't have time. Ask him for time. And that very week, because Swami had visited Chennai, in Samiti for the weekly bus, there were a lot of devotees who had stopped coming to Samiti a couple of years earlier, and they came and confided into me and asking, brother, do you have any work for us? We will take up. So literally what had happened, I asked for Swami, more hands came in. I was convener, I think, for 2 more years or 1.5 years more, and the activities of Samiti increased, and by Swami's grace, till now the activities are going on very well. So the prayer that we need to have to Swami, so he shows his presence everywhere. When I am traveling abroad on my flight trips abroad to whichever country I go for my official business, I see that Swami, Swami ensures that the seat next to me is always empty. Otherwise, the entire flight would be packed and the seat next to me would be empty. Swami shows his presence that way, that he is always there with me. And I would like to close with a prayer that our love for Bhagwan should grow more and more, and he should ensure that we are in his fold always till our last breath, and prayers to Bhagwan to make us realize his presence every moment of our life without any doubt. With this, I offer this at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Thanks for the opportunity. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother Shyam, really thanks to you for sharing your experiences. The most important thing which you shared last, right? Instead of telling Swami that I want to leave the post, rather than give me time. So it's applicable to most of us. Actually, everybody is they have the office pressure, and then we do Swami's work. But many times we feel that we have a lot of official pressure that we can't able to handle some of the activities. But this is really a good example that we should pray Swami to give more time to do his work. So, and yeah, on behalf of Samiti, I would like to thank you very much for this session, and we really enjoyed. And Jai Sai Ram. And can you just close with Shanti Mantra? And okay.
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
Sai Ram. Thank you.
Sai Ram.